Welcome to An Hour of Power. I am Keith Anthony Blanchard, spiritual teacher, musician, author of the best-selling book Homecoming: Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, and your host of Center of Light. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Center of Light. This is my signature. I don't know why I love this crystal ball and this light. Well, I do know why, but whatever. Welcome to Center of Light. Tonight we're going to be diving in Center of Light, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Strap in, my brothers and sisters, as we launch for inner space. All you astronauts, you diving within? The universe inside is a lot greater than one out here. And this one's infinite. This one's finite because the mind says so. The mind has these filters and these ideas of limits. Like Deepak Chopra says, I can throw you into a conundrum immediately that will break down the walls. If you ask yourself, if the universe has an edge, what lies beyond the outermost edge? So you cannot escape the riddle. Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard, as I said, I am your host with the most from coast to coast. Homecoming: Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, my new bestseller. You can find that in these links. I'm going to post them again. Somehow they disappeared. Maybe they are watching. The same link you can purchase this book, bestseller. You can also use the same link to Hyperjump to leave me a review. I will love your honest thoughts, feelings. I am selling Lavender Soul CDs by the oodles. I used to sell them $20 per. Now they're $20 for all 3 albums. I am going to start recording a new album in about 2 weeks. I'm going to give you glimpses, but as they say in the creative movement, you shouldn't give too many of those things away because they have not yet been birthed. They're still unfolding themselves. But I like teasers. I like trailers. I like playing. So tonight, my guest is a friend of mine, acquaintance more, but friend, brother. We met a few years ago in Memphis, Tennessee at the Spiritual Fest, whatever it was, put on by Victoria Smith. Thank you, Victoria, for bringing Larry and I together. Larry is a really cool guy. He lives 3 hours away from me. Maybe I should go sleep on his couch. He's laughing. I can see him behind the screen. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. Want to take a ride? Center of Light Radio is back. It's been a while. I needed a break. I've been doing it for 11 years. Love every moment. Blood, sweat, and years. My guest is Larry Flaxman, best-selling author and researcher. Larry Flaxman is on a mission to inform, empower, and entertain those fascinated by the paranormal and fringe science. Flaxman continues to write groundbreaking books. I've caught his presentation off the cuff. No wonder he's a keynote speaker. We did a keynote speaking event at that very metaphysical experience. So let's see. Let me see. I lost my place. Font is so small. Groundbreaking books on cutting edge research that leave readers, researchers, and reviewers open-mouthed in disbelief of the truth as it is presented to them. That's what I just said. Yes. For nearly 2 decades, Flaxman is actively involved in paranormal research and hands-on field investigation with a strong emphasis on attempting to apply the scientific, where there's proof, method to unexplained, until now, phenomena. Flaxman is redefining a field of paranormal research with his focus on connecting quantum physics, parentheses, especially entanglement, I love it, and the observer effect. Bro, that's a whole nother category we can lean into later if you'd like. To human consciousness via the use of real-time EEG analysis of the experiencer. He is the president and senior researcher of the Arkansas Paranormal and Anomalous Studies team. There's a big acronym. I'm going to leave that there. Which has become one of the nation's most respected paranormal research organizations. Widely respected for his advances in the field, Larry Flaxman has appeared on the Discovery Channel's Ghost Lab as well as History Channel's popular show, Ancient Aliens, and the History Channel special expose Time beings, extreme time travelers, conspiracies, bruh. That's another level I'd like to delve in. Larry Flaxman has appeared on hundreds of radio shows worldwide, including Coast to Coast. Excuse me. Including Coast to Coast AM, The Shirley MacLaine Show, The Jeff Rentz Show, X Zone. I love, I don't remember his name on X Zone. Taps Family Radio and Paranormal Podcast. I did recently post all of Larry's contacts, and go stomp all over his page. Let him know you exist. Leave a big stank. Larry, welcome to Center of Light Radio, my friend. It's been a couple of 3 years since we talked.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sir. What you been up to, bro? Other than since the last time that you and I spoke, what's been brewing in your kitchen?
Well, I mean, other than dealing with a pandemic for the last year plus now, I've been focusing for the last, I don't know, several years on EVP and ITC research, and I think that the pandemic has kind of given me the opportunity to delve a little bit more into that and to actually work on finally building the device that I'd been working towards for several years. So the same old, pretty much. As we were talking about prior to the show, a lot of the conferences, the paranormal conferences specifically, and metaphysical conferences, pretty much ended with COVID, and things are now starting to slowly return back to normal. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. But it has been a challenging year for sure.
Want to take a ride? Well, we said sure, and we find ourselves here. Since you open up the box, so to speak, tell me about this thing that you've been working on, this invention, your own version of said whatever thing that would be.
So I don't know how knowledgeable your listeners are regarding electronic voice phenomena, or kind of the grander umbrella called ITC, which is instrumental transcommunication. Basically, it's the utilization of technology to communicate with the dead effectively. So for a number of years, and you attended my presentation in Memphis, and I kind of delved a little bit into quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and how many of the things that we consider to be paranormal are absolutely normal in an alternate reality in the multiverse. So I've always had this idea that if we could figure out some way to basically tunnel between the different multiverses, that we would effectively be able to communicate or be able to reach those higher or lower levels and communicate with folks that we would traditionally consider to be dead. And I would use that certainly with quotes. So I've long believed that the idea of human death is absolutely not what we think it is. Most folks, based on their religious upbringing, believe that ashes to ashes, dust to dust, right? So when you are deceased, you go to one of two places generally, right? Most religions have some belief in either heaven or some type of hell type experience. So I believe there's actually far more than that to the equation of death. I actually believe that it's not what we think that it is. So my focus for the last several years has been trying to integrate traditional science, quantum science specifically, into the understanding of that, and then more importantly into the potential communication with that. So let me kind of back up. I've always had an interest in this stuff, and I think as I've gotten older, I've certainly realized my own mortality, and I've seen friends and family pass away. And I've personally always wanted to know, what happens next? After I go, is that it? Is it literally ashes to ashes, dust to dust? Or do I have another opportunity to communicate with the people that I loved? Do I get to apologize for all the wrongs that I had done in this life, etc.? So I began a journey years and years ago, which kind of ultimately culminated in the death of both of my parents in 2012, and that expedited, uh, greatly sped up my search for the ability to communicate with folks that we've lost in this
So,
world.
Larry, on outward appearances, people would say, well, you're a researcher, you're a scientist.
Right.
But truth be told, you're truly a spiritual man.
So I think you need to have kind of a good mix of both. Many people believe that science is very black and white, and it is to an extent. However, if Christopher Columbus had not have taken a leap of faith and believed that the Earth wasn't flat and that he wouldn't simply sail off the edge of the world, the New World may never have been found. So, yes, I absolutely am spiritual, very spiritual. In fact, I wouldn't say necessarily that I'm very religious, and I think there's certainly a differentiation there. But spiritual, absolutely. I think anybody that has an interest in afterlife research or the possibility of the continuity of life has to have some level of spirituality or belief. You have to have that.
If you would, before I stopped you there, because I just felt this, because I saw something, and I want to share this openness about, most people who are doctors and or scientists, as the rule of thumb goes, they live in a certain side of the brain. They never allow themselves to venture into that side. But I saw that in you. Please continue to tell us about this this invention of yours about being able to communicate with other parallels.
So the idea that I've kind of harbored for the last several years was that paranormal phenomena, for the most part, are events that are just as real as you and I. However, they exist in our reality for a very short period of time. So my kind of working theory is that paranormal phenomena basically are able to manifest in our reality via the use of wormholes. So more specifically, if you look at some of Einstein's work, the Einstein-Rosen bridge or EPR bridge allows for the connection points within the universe that I believe is what paranormal phenomena are able to utilize. So if you think about traditional things that are considered to be paranormal, ghosts, extraterrestrials to an extent, cryptozoological creatures, all of those figures seem to have a very similar methodology in how they appear and they disappear, almost like they're able to kind of wink in and out of existence almost instantaneously. So I believe they're able to do that by utilizing an EPR bridge. The bridge is a very unstable. The wormhole, the bridge is unstable.
Of course it is, because we need to have inner balance to ever tread such sacred ground.
It is. So it's only open for a very short period of time, and it's during that window that we're able to experience those things paranormal. So my thought was, if you go back to some of my earlier research into entanglement specifically, we're all connected. Every one of us is connected at the quantum level. So my thought was that entanglement can survive death. So if you have if you have a quantum entanglement attachment to a deceased individual that has crossed through a bridge, crossed through a wormhole to another reality, that by utilizing specific tools, that you can utilize that that connection with that individual to effectively communicate with them. So, it's basically utilizing the laws of physics. It's utilizing some common sense too, but it's utilizing our own built-in kind of innate connection with that person. So I designed a device basically that allows a person to connect theoretically through the EPR wormhole through that entanglement bridge. So that's really the only way it works. You have to have some type of connection to that person or to that individual that you're speaking to on the other side, or it just doesn't work. So I've been working on this in theory for the last 15 years. and really in practical application within the last probably 2 to 3 years. And then since the advent of COVID and having much more opportunity, since I'm not having to shuttle between conferences and speaking engagements and things, actually being able to focus on the development of the tool. So that's kind of in a nutshell what it is.
That's pretty beautiful because, as you said earlier, I'm tired of COVID. I just want to go out and hug some necks and kiss some cheeks, right?
Right.
But that we have this time to reflect, inner reflection. How is your success with your new creation? Are you seeing that it's you being validated by your theory? And I'm sure, or is there any adjustment period to whether you're tweaking things? What's your result?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely not perfect. There's certainly some tweaking that's going on.
But
So if
you are
look
seeing enough things that are happening to know that you have something solid that's going.
100%. Yeah,
Fantastic.
definitely.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah, in fact, when I do a large event at the Crescent Hotel every second and third week in January, and this last most recent January was the first opportunity that I've actually had to do a live public demonstration of my device, which is, I call it SIS, SIS, which is kind of a short for Spirit Interface System. It's kind of a hokey name, but it kind of came to me. But it was the first opportunity that I had to do a live demonstration to a live group of folks. There was about 30 people in attendance, and there was absolutely, I would say, 100% positive results. There was, in fact, one of the girls, I believe we made contact with her grandfather, and she was very emotional because the message that came through was one that she had recognized and one that she had understood to be specific to her. So yeah, I would say there's definitely some wins there. Like anything else, I mean, we're dealing with kind of an unknown science here to an extent. I mean, so yeah, I think there's tweaking that's necessary. I think there's still some work that needs to be done, but it's all kind of part of it. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I kind of expect that this is probably a long-term endeavor for me. But I've been kind of tracking and following the field of ITC and EVP research basically since the beginning of my interest or career in the paranormal. And one thing that I immediately recognized was that the folks that are doing this, they don't always have great results doing it. So there's a phenomena called pareidolia, and pareidolia is basically the brain pattern matching something that sounds like a word or sounds like something that you would be familiar with, and then kind of filling in the rest. So it's kind of this it's the ability of our brain basically to it's a survival mechanism. It's the ability of our brain to fill in a pattern to something that's familiar to us. So something that I immediately noticed with most folks that are doing EVP and ITC research is that the words that they were getting, you could ask 3 different people what they heard, and you would generally get 3 different answers. Now, you can look on YouTube, and there's tons of folks that are doing similar work, but they almost always will put the word up on the screen that they're hearing. So what that does is it almost immediately kind of puts that sense in your mind of what to listen for. So if you hear the word, Keith that comes through the device, unless
That
you
would
have
freak
that
me
message
out.
written on the screen, 3 different people. One person might have heard the word Keith. One person might heard Meath. One person might hear donkey. But when you kind of solidify that, the brain automatically then sees that word, and it automatically puts that together in your mind, so you actually hear the word Keith. So I wanted to design a device that wasn't necessary. In other words, when you do a live demonstration, that it's pretty recognizable for folks that are listening, and you don't have to kind of prime them and tell them what you're hearing. They can make up their own mind. It's that clear.
So, in other words, you don't you don't sway them at all. It's just organic. Let me know what you hear. So how does this work? You put some batteries in it, 9 volts. You shake it a few times. I mean, you give it a shot of tequila. How does this actually work? What is the actual mechanism? If that's something
So,
and also, do you have it, and could you demonstrate it, or is it just not there yet?
no, it's we definitely could. We could totally try it. I've never actually done it on the radio.
Well, that's
Like I
pretty
said,
strange because in the moment I asked you that, as soon as you begin to respond, your voice digitized. You will
really
hear it on playback, and that will be 23, between 20 and 25 minutes of this presentation. It'll freak you out.
interesting.
Right?
So I've never done it on the radio. Like I said, I've done live demonstration of it. So it would definitely be a first. But so the way that it works is it uses an audio source. So in my particular instance, there's 2 different methods that I kind of experiment with. One is using live radio, specifically talk radio, and the other is using a like a YouTube video, just a speech or something on YouTube. So the idea is basically to give the spirit some voice to be able to manipulate. So there's an audio source. It goes through a series of audio processors. There's a gate, and this is kind of where the beauty of this thing works. There's a gate that the person utilizing the system, i.e. me, would contact, or they would hold, and that is what is creating that entanglement with the person on the other side. So when I open the gate, the audio flows through the system. When I close the gate, the audio stops playing. So the beauty of this, though, is that you are entangling directly with a spirit. So your ability to open and close or start and stop that audio is solely dependent upon that connection. So it flows through there. It goes through a little bit of processing, and then it goes into a speaker, and that's really it. I mean, the person that's doing the session is as much a part of the equation as the equipment. In fact, I would argue that the human connection is probably more important itself than the actual equipment itself.
So would you say this becomes a part of what was designed, said in your bio, is the observer is equally, if not more important than the actual tools that we're using to try to or accuse of being our...
Yeah, no, absolutely. You have to have a strong spiritual connection. You have to have a strong psychic connection. You have to have that ability to energetically entangle with the individual that or the person that you're trying to communicate with on the other side. If you don't have that connection, it just simply doesn't work. And I think it's very similar across other types of EVP and ITC research too. If you use something, even just a standard device like the PSB-7, right? So this is just a radio scanning device that many people in the field utilize to try to make contact. And the idea is that spirits are able to manipulate the audio. It scans up and down the radio band, but the idea is that the spirits are able to manipulate the audio to land on specific words. But your connection by holding the device or being kind of that steward of the unit is equally as important. But the problem again with devices such as these are that they are very, very difficult to understand in my experience. So like for instance, let me fire this thing up. I'll give you kind of an example. So when you turn this thing on, it's a radio scanner, right? So you can set it to AM, to FM. I'm going to change it to FM mode. And we're going to start sweeping. I'll turn the volume down some so I don't blow your ears out. But so sweep forward.
Actually, you okay with the volume? It's nice and up front, so you're
Okay,
fine with
good.
that. Yeah.
So as you can see, it's scanning the FM dial. Is there anyone here with us?
So now, for the audience's sake, now you're beginning to intend to speak with an other.
Right.
All right.
Absolutely. So occasionally you get radio bleed through here, so you'll hear bits and pieces, snippets of audio that some people believe that spirits are then able to manipulate to form words. So if there's anyone here that would like to speak with us, please communicate now. Does anyone have a message for Keith? So I don't know if you heard that or not. I don't want to lead you, but it did say something there that
I heard 2 syllables, some man, subman. Tell me what you got, because you know how to listen. I'm a virgin at it.
Yeah, well, it's probably not something that you probably want me to repeat on the radio.
Well, that's okay with me. I mean, if provided I don't get a panking on my Google or Facebook hiney, I really don't care.
So to me, it sounded like "suck me." So
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to lead anyone to hear that, but if you go back and rewind and listen, they might hear something that sounds similar to that.
That would depend.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Even though this is, I'm assuming, one of the lower level of your devices, your spirit boxes.
This is not, no, so this is not my device. This is a commonly available.
So in other words, would this be one of the lower, so to speak, the general, if you want to dabble kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, have you ever used that particular one and had some amazing success? So that creates a ceiling of what this can potentially do versus you're just going to always get assumptions.
Yes. So I have gotten good results with this and with its bigger brother, this, which is basically 2 of these things. So instead of scanning one band at a time, which is what this one does, this device will scan 2 bands at the same time. So you could scan AM and FM at the same time, or 2 AM bands at the same time, one forward, one reverse, one FM going reverse, one AM going forward. There's limitless possibilities. But these type of devices are a large part of EVP and ITC research because for a number of reasons. One, they're easily accessible. They're easy to purchase. You can get either of these things, I believe, off of Amazon. You can buy them eBay. You could buy it direct from the manufacturer.
What kind of money are we talking about? $100?
This one's about $80. This one's about $150. So not terribly expensive. But my problem with both of these devices is that if you could, when you're listening to it, there is a significant amount of white noise and static. So as it was scanning between the channels, I'll turn it back on so you can hear it. There's just a lot of crap, and it's really hard to understand anything that's being said because
it's very ambiguous at most.
It is.
Right.
So it's very hard to discern what you're actually listening to and not introducing artifacts of pareidolia into it because it's so crappy sounding. Be patient.
Be patient. I heard it.
Yeah,
be patient.
That was pretty clear.
I heard that.
But you hear all that static. It's really frustrating to me, that static, because it's so hard to hear an actual word because you have to parse it out from all of that garbage static and scanning. So they work. You just heard a word that came through it. They do work, but I would say this is kind of the equivalent of this would be the equivalent of standard definition TV versus high definition or ultra high definition TV, right? So it works, it'll get the job done, but it's probably not as pretty or not as feature filled as some of the more.
So let me ask you this, my brother. Before we graduate to the next level of spirit box, be it yours or the ones that I've seen you recently use.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Flaxman gets a call and says, "There's truly something in my house. Not only bring your spirit box, but you better
Right.
bring everything you have in your arsenal." How would you feel? And it's rhetorical. But, you get a message in a spirit box in some supposed haunted house location.
Mm-hmm.
And when something validates what everyone has been telling you as to why you actually go over there to investigate, what is that like inside? Do you just, this is going down? Is there any fear? Have you been doing this so long to where you would actually walk into a full blown situation? And I ask that because I question
Yeah.
myself about such things as well.
So, that is a difficult but easy um, kind of scenario to walk through. I am not scared of the unseen. I am scared of the living two-legged demons more so than I am, Casper the ghost. With that being said, the world is a crazy place, and you really never know what it is that you're walking into. I have been on hundreds of paranormal investigations in my career, and I can tell you I've seen the full gamut of things. Everything from excessive and massive drug use by the person that has allegedly experienced things, to environmental issues that are truly causing issues in the home that a person would believe to be paranormal when there is actually a completely
Thank you.
prosaic.
I heard many years ago, Larry, and I believe it. I've seen it. I understand the science of it. I understand the spiritual science of it, of how such things could happen. Science may not know everything. Well, for example, science may not know a something about a something. They may know some things about the something, but not the entirety of it. So there's a lot of intuition involved, which is, if we look at a ghost and and I'm assuming people have a misunderstanding what a poltergeist is. A poltergeist,
Right.
let's say you have a family of however many people, and three of them in the family have addictions, alcoholism, and whatever it is, just a lot of negativity. So as this gets expressed from the human being, it collects in a corner, and this collects in the corner. But when they become entangled, to use your description, and they begin to come into this dance, they actually become somewhat conscious to a level to where it has the ability to be somewhat aware of itself, to where it can simply toss things around in the house and freak you the frick out. Is this your understanding of what a poltergeist is? Is a collective unconsciousness that groups together? Because as to why I interrupted you, you sounded off something like that it's not what we think.
Right. Yeah, that is. I believe your understanding of that is correct. From what I have read, and I've never personally been in a poltergeist type scenario, but from what I understand, they are very predominantly known to occur around young females, households that include a young female specifically going through puberty. So there are, I think, some energetic probably reasons behind that, but again, I've not personally had any experience with that to investigate.
Wow. I didn't know you were into so much. I mean, because I really didn't know you, and I've been enjoying this. What would be our next level, wherever you would like to take us, be it Spirit Box or, I know you do a lot of things, but since we're in the Spirit Box thing, is there something else you would show us that would be a little more defining of what this realm of possibility and study is?
Gosh, I mean, there's a ton of different directions we could go down. Let me ask
Your
you a
choice.
question though. You've been asking me all the questions. Can I ask you one?
By all means.
Have you ever had an experience that you just absolutely could not explain? You tried to rationally break it down as much as possible. You attempted to debunk it, I guess, for lack of a better word. Have you ever had an experience that you are absolutely 100% convinced was truly supernatural?
It had to do with a penny, or so I thought, was on a stage right before I played music.
Really?
Yes. As simple as it is, it doesn't, well, Keith, that doesn't sound paranormal. Trust me, it's not normal. I'm about to play music 40 minutes from now at that time. And the lights were dim, very atmospheric, and I'm walking on the stage. And at that time in my spiritual development, I'm all about some Wayne Dyer. Pick up a penny and say,
Yep.
thank you, God,
Yep.
for this simple symbol of abundance. So I was in that mode, right? So I'm walking on this dimly lit stage right before I'm going to go back and use the bathroom, tune my guitar, whatever. And I'm in that stage, on the stage, and I see what's a penny. So I'm going to pick it up. No big deal. I'm just going to bend over and pick up this penny. And I couldn't grab it. And I couldn't grab it. And I couldn't grab it. And my mind, Larry, was shattered. Because everything I thought was happening didn't happen at all. Not even to the nth degree. It was not
Really?
going down. Yes, because I didn't understand why I couldn't pick up this penny. But when I looked closer, it was a piece of gum about the size of a penny stuck on the stage because of the dim lighting. A part of me completely shattered, and I launched myself into an experience beyond normal. It truly awakened me. But the window was only open that long.
So do you think that experience that you accessed another reality or a part of the multiverse?
I absolutely knew it. Well, that's only one occasion, but in that occasion, I absolutely was reminded again that place is real. It's absolutely real. It's like touching the garment of your Christ. And you got a slice of delicious fresh apple, right? You want some more apple, don't you, Eve? Right. And so I touched it and I was like, oh my God, this exists. I was reminded from years before and still today, there is a multiverse. In fact, it's not only a multiverse, it's an infinity verse. It just continues like Deepak Chopra, as I said earlier. If you believe in the edge of the universe, then the conundrum becomes what lies beyond the outermost edge? Empty space? Well, then there is no wall.
Yeah. Can I ask you another question?
Shoot.
Okay. So I kind of told you about my journey and the reason why I've been, focused in this line of work. And if you had the ability to communicate with a loved one that had passed away, someone that you very deeply loved but you had lost, whether it was a parent, a spouse, a family member, you lost somebody and it deeply, deeply affected you. But you had the ability through technological means, for instance, to communicate with that person. Couldn't see that person, you couldn't touch that person, you couldn't experience life with that person, but you could talk to them almost like you would pick up the phone and have a conversation, almost, the literal telephone to the dead. Would you do it?
Nothing can stop me. I would
Yeah.
want nothing more, at least in that endeavor. I do it now being a spiritualist, but I don't always have success. So if I can go buy a box at Walmart, Larry's box, whatever that thing is, eat certain amount of bananas per day and guavas, whatever it takes, absolutely I would. Because who wouldn't?
Well, you'd be surprised.
Go
The
ahead,
reason
sir.
I asked that, so my wife and I have gotten into some very deep theological discussion about this. There are people that truly would not, given the opportunity and giving access to devices such as my spirit interface system. There are people that truly have, I guess, moral issues with that. And I understand from a certain perspective, losing both of my parents absolutely devastated me. And if I had had the ability to communicate with them while I was going through the mourning or healing process, then I probably never would have fully reconciled the idea. But then you sort of, me at least, I start thinking through the idea of, well, maybe you don't have to. Maybe the whole idea of birth and death and life is one continuous blade on the yardstick that we call reality. And maybe the line between life and death is not as black and white as we think. So then that kind of throws off the entire idea of mourning for the dead, because legitimately they're no longer dead. If you have the ability to communicate with someone, they're just as real as you and me, just as alive as you and I. We might not be able to see them, but it's kind of like picking up the phone and calling your Uncle Joe in California. You know he's still there. You know he can talk. You can talk to him whenever you want to. Pick up the phone and do it. So it kind of flies in the face of many traditional religious beliefs. But I'm 100% with you. I 100% believe that having the technology and having the ability to communicate with the deceased is not harmful from the perspective of, if you look at completely redefining the idea of what life and death truly is, and that death is no longer the scary end of life, end of continuity that we consider it to be, but simply a change in address or a change in location. You're moving to California. So 100%, you and I are on the exact same page, but to answer your question, there's a lot of people that actually wouldn't do it given that ability or given that. I asked that same question at the Eureka conference that I was at last month. And again, there was probably 35 people or so in the audience. And when I asked how many people, given the opportunity, would do it, Keith, believe it or not, there were some folks in the audience that their hands didn't go up. They absolutely did not believe that they should or could or would want to communicate with those loved ones, which to me it makes no sense to me.
I can share something that could possibly help level some of that out, at least from an experience I had. I had
Please.
a dear friend. Go ahead. I had a dear friend of mine who's married, and I had someone that I truly believe is psychic. I don't take that word lightly. I don't even like the frickin' word. I don't. Let's change the word. That person was connected, and it got my attention. And I said, because I care about you so much, I could put you up front the list. And they said immediately, and I'm not doubting their conviction in it, but they said immediately, I've come to peace with my sister's passing, so I'm good. Same words, but it wasn't, thank you, I've come to peace with my sister's passing, I'm good. It was too quick. I'm assuming, thinking that it could fit, that some people's hand doesn't go up because it puts them in a space of, one, the morality of said background religion, or in the fact that they don't know what to do with such paranormal. Like you and I, we're used to it. So you and I could walk into a haunted house and say, I got my power tools, I got my tool belt, I'm good to go. And some people, we can give them the same tool belt and even more extra power, and they're like, I'm just simply not gonna do it.
Right. Right. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. You have to respect people's beliefs, but one of my prime motivators for really wanting to design this system and design the ability to communicate with the deceased was to talk to my parents. I make no excuses about it. As a typical Jewish mama's boy, I was very close to both of my parents, specifically my mom, especially my mom, but very close to both of my parents. And, both of my parents died very unexpectedly. My dad was a little more expected. He had a long running disease, and then he finally passed away from that. But my mom was 100% unexpected. I mean, it was, the doctor said legitimately she died of a broken heart. There was no medical reason that she should have passed away. I mean, they were married 49 years, just shy of their 50th anniversary when my dad passed away. So I don't feel like I had the closure that I wanted to with my parents. So I wanted the ability to try to communicate with them and, tell them how much they meant to me, how much they mean to me, not meant because they're still here.
So not being too personal, if it's something you truly wish to share, have you, through said mediums that we've been talking about tonight, have confirmation, communication, often in the past, hit and miss kind of thing?
Okay, so yes, I have. I have actually not used my device to communicate with my parents. I am. I don't know the reason why. I designed it specifically for that, but it's almost like I'm scared to, if that makes any sense. I'm being totally real with you now. I mean, that is a really tough question for me.
If I may,
Um,
if I may, since we're being candid, as you have mentioned a minute ago, maybe this what I said a moment ago was a preemptor, the precursor for that. Same with you, that applies.
yeah,
That if you use said device, it's going to unravel, and I mean it's in all respect, as a gift, a gesture, that something that I'm not used to, that is a little more paranormal than I am willing to be, might
right.
actually step forward. And I mean that with love. And
I've had I've had some pretty significant experiences um, after their passing. Um, just not verbal communication, and I don't know why I haven't used it. That's the reason I designed it, but I haven't had the um, I just haven't had. I don't know, Keith.
maybe because
I
it doesn't matter. Maybe because that's
well,
too trivial and too transient. I mean, I think your connection that you're pursuing with your parents is more beautiful than some box can ever deliver.
you're right, and as I said, I've absolutely had experiences. So I'll tell you just one really quick one. My mom's actually the one that got me kind of interested in mysterious topics. She was an avid reader. She loved any kind of mystery stuff. So from a very young age, my mom kind of instilled the love of mystery in me. And at any one time, I would have an entire um, set of books on my nightstand that I would, read a couple of pages a night on, and then go to the next book. And so my mom had always promised me that if it were possible to communicate from beyond, that she would. Very similar to Houdini and probably thousands of other people that have made promises to loved ones, um, that if they passed away, that they would, if possible, show some type of sign um, of them. Um, my mom showed me a sign, and I don't want to go into all the specifics of it, but 100% without any possibility of there being or a misunderstanding, or you know misconstruing the circumstances. My mom proved to me after she passed away that she's still with me, and that's a very powerful thing. That validation is almost more um, more important to me than actually talking to her again, if that makes any sense. I mean, I would love to be able to pick up the phone though and have a conversation like I used to every day. And in the morning on my way to work, I'd call my mom. On my way home from work, I'd call her. When anything special was going on in my life, I would call. I spent a lot of time talking to my parents.
You know,
And
I had the same experience with my mother, without all the details.
yeah,
She passed. All the situation around it was just, oh my God, an amazing alignment. So inside things like you're describing, I feel no disconnect. I don't
right.
feel this loss of a parent. They're just invisible. Larry, we have some time. We can go as long as you like. But my point is, would you like to give us another upper level spirit box example, or would you like to tell
Yeah,
us
why don't
more about your new book, Demons, the Devil, and Fallen Angels, or both, as you wish?
we can actually try this? I've
Sure.
never, like I said, I'm all about trying new experiences, and I have not done this on live radio. I've done it in person to a large group of folks, but I've not done it on the radio. So it'd be interesting to see, what we get here. Um, I don't want to tell you what I hear. If you don't mind,
Sure.
let's ask a question. And I'm not gonna. Is there anyone maybe specific that you want to try to communicate with? I'm not gonna try. I don't have anyone in particular that I want to talk to. But if you have somebody in particular, we can try to reach that person. Um, you and I are quantum entangled via our connection, and then in kind of passing, then I would be quantumly entangled to the person that you'd want to communicate with. So theoretically, again, never done this through, through the internet or through the radio, but theoretically, your entanglement to me and then my entanglement to that person theoretically should make this work. But
There's
I'm
no
willing to
doubt
try
about
it.
it. In fact, it is science.
Yeah, I'm absolutely willing to try it.
I'm loving it.
But let me fire everything up here. I would need to know who it is that you would want to try to talk to.
I say we keep it in the theme of mom. Why not?
Your mom?
My
wanna try to talk
mom.
to your mom?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to use a radio, right? So I'm going to use. Let me find a radio station that is just talk radio only. If I can find one. It's hard to find radio stations nowadays, it seems like.
If he goes with you, would you like my...
And what we're wanting to do is use the radio, basically the voice on the radio, to give the spirit back a voice box, right? So giving the spirit the ability to, through me and the entanglement, that connection, basically to manipulate the audio to form the words or the sentences that we want. So it's important to find just speech. Let's see if I can find something here.
Money wasted to bring in somebody that was supposed to be a better fit because
there we go.
I love it.
They were supposed to
Don't know what it is, but it sounds like it's talk radio. So we're gonna use that and see if we get anything. And this is
So
definitely
are you using this as a baseline, or are you creating a contrast?
so we're using the audio, the radio, basically live audio, as
That particular radio show, you're using that as the frequency that you're.
yes. that the
Okay,
spirit
I got you.
can
Thank you.
manipulate, right? And I can't really turn my camera around to see everything that I've got set up here, but there's 5 different boxes that are set up, and they're all connected, and it's kind of a wired up mess here. But basically, the audio, we're using live audio from a radio broadcast as the voice of the spirit. The spirit's able to then manipulate that audio to form the words. Then my connection to the individual through quantum entanglement, I open and close the gate, basically. Then the words that the spirit has put into the gate then flow through an audio processor and then into a speaker. So it's kind of a pretty simple process in theory. When it works great. But again, you have to have that connection. So I've never tried this. All of the work that I've done with this has been in person, either myself just using the device or one-on-one with someone, like I did in my live demo last month or back in January at the Crescent. So I've never done it kind of via the internet, over long distance, but it's worth a shot. So I'm ready whenever you are. If you want to ask a question, you tell me, maybe what you're wanting me to ask, and I'll do it, and we'll see if we get anything.
Love it. I agree. There's no reason, rhyme or reason, time or season, that it should not work. I mean, it should be the same, applicable all across the board.
You
So
would think.
my contactee, my request is to, as I said, my mom. Mom, I have without a doubt, I will carry this to my grave. I know you contacted me in a form of a foil balloon you could buy at any department store. I know this without a doubt. So I speak to my mother and I ask the question, is there something you can say, something you can move, something you can do? Not that I need you to prove anything, something that can just let me know that you are here in this form of a mediumship of communication. Is there anything you can offer? All of us, especially your son who loves and misses you in the physical way.
Keith, what's your mom's name?
Jeanette Blanchard.
Jeanette. Okay. All right. Jeanette, are you here with us?
Bruh, your mic just distorted.
Oh, that was way too loud. Hang on, let me turn that down. All right. Jeanette, are you here with us?
Mom, I miss you.
I don't know if that even is coming through the audio very good.
We can hear it. It's loud, but that's what we need it to be. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Jeanette, are you here with us? Would you like to speak to Keith?
Hi, Mom. I heard I love you.
That's what it sounded like to me. But again, I am not going to tell you what I'm hearing. I want you to...
I know you're around me a lot, Mom. Is there anything most important you think I should know?
That sounded like amazing. I'm not sure. Are you talking about the device? What are you calling amazing? I'm listening to your shows.
That's what I heard exactly.
Sounds like your mom might be listening to your radio show.
Is my sister Cheryl with you?
It sounded like Shelly. Do you know a Shelly?
Cheryl.
Yeah, that may have been what it said. Do you know? Is that your sister?
My sister Cheryl passed in 1988.
It just said. It sounded to me like Sherry, but it might have been Cheryl.
As soon as I was saying it, that's amazing.
Yeah. Cheryl,
wow.
Are you here with us?
I heard yes, yes.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Is this your device or is this any of them that's firing off?
No, this is mine.
Dig it.
This is mine.
Hi, Mom and Cheryl. Are you together? Of course you are. Anything you want me to know?
Let me try a different thing here. Hang on.
And so many people would laugh at such ideas, but they're simply just not open to possibility.
Right. Sure. Something about your home.
I heard that. I'm actually moving shortly.
Am I right?
Now right, am I right? How light?
Yeah.
I heard the same idea. The fallen hat?
Yeah, what is that? Oh wow, you're wearing a hat.
I am.
That's what it looks like. Looks like you got a black hat on.
I do.
The fallen hat. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
All right. Something paid the...
63. Does that number mean anything to you?
Yes, 6 and 3 is 9. I'm a 9 freaking fanatic.
Really?
Yeah.
What
Any
would be
form
the-
of any 5 and 4, 4 and 5, 6 and 3, 3 and 6, 7 and 2, 2 and 7, whatever. I lean into 9 because 9 is the divine number.
Why is
Everything
it,
between 1 and all the numbers lean up to 9, and after 9 it's done. Then it repeats. It becomes reincarnation kind of thing. And reincarnation doesn't mean necessarily the soul or a person. It means the form of energy in any form.
You can hear a little bit of the radio bleed through on that.
Right.
That's just...
So final question. Mom, sister, brother, other, any message you can leave for myself, Larry, and our listening audience about anything that is collectively important.
Some nice music there.
They like music.
This night is.
This night is that what you said? This
Yeah,
night
that's what it
is?
said. Yeah.
We said it together. This night
Yep.
is. This night is. I'm asking the spirits that are communicating through the medium, this night is what? Something present?
Yeah. That's what it sounded like to me.
Please be clearer the best you can. What is this night? Value? More, please. Final question. Whoever you are in that realm that is speaking through this device, what does it feel like to be where you are?
That's a good question. I fly. That's what it sounded like.
Close by any?
By any?
Yeah. It's. I don't know if you heard the first part of that, but it said close by, and then any. Close by. Are you close by us right now? Are you close by Keith?
Of course, how much you need it?
Oh,
Of course. What? Is that what you heard? Of course?
Yeah, of course I am. Yep.
Are you close by Larry?
Yes, I don't know.
Yes,
I could
what?
say no. It's what it sounded like.
Yeah, okay. Wow, this is so are
they
you
like-
selling these now, bro? I mean,
No.
what is the
no,
future of
absolutely
these?
Not. No. This was designed again for a wholly selfish purpose of mine to communicate with my parents. No, I have no interest or desire to try to sell these.
So this is yours. I love the fact that it's something sacred to you.
Yeah.
This is not about this or that. And I love the fact that your mother inspired it, and your passing of your parents inspired it,
Right.
and that you would think someone would move into it, and that's not your desire. But
Right.
is there anything more you would like to share with the spirit box? You have a certain. Let me ask you. So Larry wakes up in the morning and eats his breakfast and hangs out with whoever he's going to greet the day with.
Right.
So when Larry goes into spirit box mode, let me see what's going to happen today. Is this a daily ritual? Because you're curious, you're going to plug in from guides, or
It's
what would be a question that you would ask when you approach such a vehicle?
so it is kind of a daily thing for me. Interestingly enough, the design of this particular system, and it's gone through several iterations, but the kind of basic design of this kind of came to me in a dream. And kind of the fine tuning and tweaking, that's just really just a matter of experimentation, just utilizing it and trying to do it. But yeah, I would say this probably borders on obsession, honestly, more so than anything else.
Gets things done, doesn't it?
Yeah, which is crazy, but it is absolutely the way things get done.
A guest in my forum did say, Abigail Engel, she says, can you please talk about demons, the devil, and fallen angels? And everyone, if you would, I did post in the forums earlier a link to Larry Flaxman. I am going to do it. I'm going to peg him on the screen as the rock star he is. And make sure you jump all over his page and leave a big snake. Let him know you exist.
So talk about the book for a minute. Sure. I'm actually surprised that we didn't kind of cover this earlier. So that was a really, really difficult book for me to write. Our publisher actually proposed the idea to my writing partner and I to write that. And, at first that was I was not interested at all. Not because I didn't have any knowledge of it, although I certainly learned a significant amount during the research for the book, but because I have a really hard time writing about things that I'm not passionate about, things that I'm not um, really connected with. And the idea of demons and the devil doesn't really honestly resonate with me. It's not something that I truly believe in, to be 100% frank. So I had a really hard time writing the book only because I just couldn't get into it. I mean, it was interesting from kind of a historical perspective, but it's absolutely not, something that I would want to define my, um, my legacy or my persona. It was an interesting book, but I'm a science guy, and my background, my interests, all of those things revolve around science and demonology and you know most of those topics that we wrote about in the book really kind of are more myth slash religious based ideas, much more so than science. So it was a very difficult book to write. But with that being said, I learned quite a bit. In fact, I learned a lot about different mythological beliefs, even within my own religion. Some of the ideas that I was wholly unfamiliar with.
What
So
is your religion?
I'm Jewish.
Oh,
So
that's right. And here's me automatically assuming you might be Christian because you live in Little Rock.
I'm an
So,
East Coast transplant. I'm not from Arkansas originally. I grew up on the East Coast,
where?
Connecticut
Where?
specifically.
Connecticut?
Yeah. So um, yeah, it's the topic just I have a limited range of interest, honestly, in the topic of demonology and different uh, mythological creatures and things like that. But it was a really interesting book to write, just not one that I was terribly excited about.
Have you, let me ask you directly. I like hanging out with you, bro. 'Cause we can just get in there and just get into the garden and into the
Sure.
stank. You've been paranormal researching for a long time, into
I have.
ufology and all that stuff. And you understand as a scientist that, like you said, I'm not afraid of the invisible. I'm more just not interested in hanging out with the visible people with two legs.
Right.
What is the most intense feeling icky? I have to plant myself here because something beyond my scope of understanding kind of wobbles me a little bit. Is there anything you can share us about that, that you may have walked into and was beside yourself?
I've been doing this for a long time, and yeah, I've had some weird shit happen. I would
Earlier
say,
years,
do what?
earlier years kind of thing?
Um, no, even fairly recently. I would say just a few years ago, I wouldn't call it terrifying experience, but it was one that I think certainly shook me up a little bit. And that happened to be at the Crescent Hotel. I was fresh off of doing the Ghost Lab show, and I had kind of learned from Barry and Brad a little bit about um, provoking. And it's not really my personality type at all. I'm generally a very respectful person, but I was at the Crescent one late evening and decided to be a little bit disrespectful to Norman Baker. Norman Baker was a quack cancer uh, doctor. He wasn't really a doctor, but he considered himself a doctor. He had come up with a fake cure for treating people, which was like carbolic acid, watermelon seeds, and something else. And he would basically inject it into people. So the Crescent Hotel was it was Baker's cancer hospital for a period of time. So I was actually down in the morgue. It was late at night. I was a little disrespectful to Mr. Baker. I had said some things that I probably shouldn't have said, just to try to get a reaction. I was curious to see. I'd seen the guys on Ghost Lab do it, so I thought, I'm going to
So
try
it
to
worked.
see. It did. I got a nasty scratch as a result. There was down the entire length of my back. And I remember when it happened, I've never experienced anything like it. It was almost like it was burning hot. And it just felt like there were claws, for lack of a better word, that literally raked down my back, and it was awful. So in all of my years of doing this, that's really the only thing that's ever happened to me that really kind of shook me up a little bit. And to this day, I have no explanation for it. You know, I guess really when you think about it from kind of a humanistic perspective, you know, if I would have been as disrespectful to a living person as I was to Mr. Baker, a living person probably would have decked me.
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me, the reaction that I got at all, but it certainly opened my eyes to, you know, being as respectful to the dead, or to the dead as we would be to the living.
Larry,
I've had other weird stuff happen too, Keith, but you know, as far as like things that would be, you know, scary, that's really it for me. I mean, that was enough.
How about we create a part 2 very soon? I have a lot of time open. Like I said earlier at the very beginning, I've been doing this so long, I took a break. Let's do it a round 2, maybe delve more into whatever. This is your platform, but more about the demons, the devil, and I have my thoughts about demons and the devil and extraterrestrials, and are they both the same, blah, blah, blah. But all that being said, I usually don't go this long, not because I don't love what I do. It's because I do this so much. This is what I allow myself, and because we're here even longer, I'm just really enjoying my time with you, sir.
Yeah, definitely.
Digging it. Is there anything that you would like to share with us? At length, whatever your heart is that you would like to say, what you're doing now, what you're coming up with. I have been posting your links in the forum so people can follow you and find what you're doing. Anything you want to share with us, what you're doing and what's happening in Larry Flaxman's future?
I'm working on a new book, but even beyond that, I've really started to kind of pick up my social media presence, specifically YouTube. So I recently have created a YouTube channel in which I'll be posting some incredible footage of haunted locations, urban exploration, ghosts. I have a couple of cool videos out there now. I would certainly ask that folks please go and like and subscribe my YouTube channel, and keep an eye out, because I'll be posting a lot of really cool stuff. I go to some really interesting places. And you know, as I've kind of gotten into the whole YouTube thing now, so I'm planning on kind of documenting my my experiences and my visits to those places on YouTube. So please definitely check out YouTube. It's kind of become my new outlet.
Once you get set on your channel, bro, and you feel good, please know that I would love to come make an appearance and give my big bag of noise.
Yeah.
Thank you, Larry. Anything else you want to leave us with? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I really appreciate the opportunity tonight. I've had a blast. The time just flew. I was not expecting it.
Thank you, sir. Love and light to you, my friend. Take care. To you and yours.
Thank you.
Everyone, Mr. Larry Flaxman. Larry, if you could stick around, I want to chat with you shortly when we get out of this in the green room. Where did that come from, green room? That has to be an awful color green. As to why they call it the green room. Keith Anthony Blanchard, the Center of Light Radio. Thursday night, I'm going to be interviewing Zveta Da Vinci, the Da Vinci Spiral. This lady has power to spare. You are loved beyond measure. You are a treasure, and it is my pleasure to be in this seat to meet and greet with you as often as we possibly can. I love you.